All right, so let's just get our very first story for tonight. And I talked about it earlier when we're talking about the banking industry. Now, the Europe Business Assembly, that's the EBA, has conferred on the CEO of uniBank, FELIX NYARKO PONG, the Manager of the Year Award 2015. Now, he picked this award in the United Kingdom. He's back in the country, and GH1 is officially the station that he's going to speak to very first. Now, FELIX NYARKO PONG has therefore been awarded full membership into the International Leaders Club. Now, it was not FELIX NYARKO PONG alone, but uniBank itself also picked up an award. They received the Best Enterprise Award for 2015 for its strong position on the national market and its status in international ratings. Manager of the Year Award for FELIX NYARKO PONG was in recognition for his sterling leadership of the bank in the past 5 years. FELIX NYARKO PONG has led the bank to grow from its 16th position out of the 26 banks that was in 2011 to the 5th out of the current 29 banks. So currently, uniBank is the 5th best bank in the country out of 29 banks in the country in terms of its balance of sheets. So uniBank currently pegged at 5th position, and they've picked up an award from the UK because of the sterling performance they've put out. uniBank also occupies the enviable 27th position in the top 100 companies that constitute Ghana's Club 100. Maybe for 2015, are we going to see the bank even climb further on the list of best companies in the country? Tonight, the CEO will be sharing every bit of the details with us. But let me move on to the financial sector further and talk about NDK Financial Services. Now, government's targets to reduce inflation to a single digit. Currently, inflation is pegged at 19.2%, and the Deputy Governor of the Central Bank, Millicent Na, has been speaking about it, that indeed all hope is not lost yet, and that they are looking forward to reducing inflation to a single digit by 2017. Now, he was speaking at the launch of the 25th anniversary of NDK Financial Services Limited here in Accra.
Speaking at the launch of the 25th anniversary of NDK Financial Services Limited, the Deputy Governor of the Central Bank noted that government's target is to reduce inflation by 8% by the second half of 2017.
The current levels remain significantly above the medium-term target that the Central Bank has set ourselves, that is 8% plus or minus 2. Our forecast is that by the second half of 2017, the inflation numbers are likely to decline towards the median target of 8%.
He applauded the NDK for providing attractive and reliable financial services to its clients and towards the economy in its 25-year period of existence.
25 years in the life of any organization or institution is a significant milestone. And I'm particularly delighted to join you to celebrate the achievements of the NDK Financial Services. Indeed, you have worked in an environment that had, gone through a number of turbulent, situations, but you managed to weather the storm. So I'd like to just apprise you of the current environment that we find ourselves. Which NDK Financial Services was able to brace the storms that characterize the economy of Ghana.
Managing Director of NDK Financial Services Limited, Okoni Koijani, highlighted some of the company's achievements over the years.
We have impacted activities in many areas. In the areas of lending, we have financed or put money into agric, irrigation in the north, importation of pharmaceutical products, real estate. We were doing something creative, as I said, something that hadn't been done. Indeed, the bank saw us as competitors in many ways. When real estate began on a large scale, at the time when we had home finance company, we had a strong collaboration with HFC, which was then known as. And we're doing warehousing of houses. We were the first to be engaged by HFC to provide funding for the development of the managed houses that we see on the Smithers Road.
NDK Financial Services began its operations in 1991. The company has, however, over the years, carved a niche for itself in the areas of warehouse construction, purchasing of household items for state employees, and provision of custom duty funds.
All right, so if you're just joining us, it's still State of Affairs, and we're looking at some business stories. But right now, we'll take a break. When we come back, we'll move on straight to uniBank. We'll talk about the banking industry today, some of the highlights of the developments around the banking sector. FELIX NYARKO Pong will be joining me. He is the CEO. All right, so you're welcome back to State of Affairs. Tonight, we're starting with the banking industry, and I have one fine banker in the studio. First of all, let me run you by some information that I chanced on. Now, the banking sector saw a drop of about 5.4%. That's for year 2015. So what were the main challenges? Tonight, I'd want to get some of these details and highlights with FELIX NYARKO Pong. FELIX is the CEO of uniBank. Many thanks for joining us in the studio. We're grateful having you here.
Thank you, Gregor.
And congratulations for all the awards you picked up in the UK. I'll be highlighting on them in a short while.
Thank you again.
But let me just quickly come to you, FELIX. Now, you have been a seasoned banker, moving the bank into greater heights. Let me first of all find out, for the sake of my viewers, how did you get into banking?
Oh, I should say that I got into banking by accident. I'd always wanted
You didn't plan it?
No. I'd always wanted to study and become a lawyer. But one day at the Faculty of Law and a transfer to the business school and an interest in banking, and I have never looked back.
The lawyer become banker.
Nearly.
Let me just quickly move on to at least the story I touched on a short while ago. Now, did you foresee this coming? 2015, I asked my friends who are in the banking sector, and they tell me it was an extreme difficult year for the financial sector. Did you anticipate that the banking industry in general was going to see that dip?
Up to a point, yes. Ghana is not out of the global village, and many of the happenings there also befalls us. And primarily, the state of the banking system as we see it today is caused by the economic downturn.
Wow.
The economic downturn arising out of our financing gap due to the oil price shortfalls. Indeed, we also have our own peculiarities in terms of the higher inflation numbers at 19.2 now. We have had the constant depreciation of the cedi, and all of these have impacted not too well on the businesses that we, the banks, serve. And as the banking sort of system, we reflect the businesses and the economy. So generally, we had anticipated these, because if the businesses are not doing that good, then even those that you have planned to take a lot of deposit from, there will be short forms. And also those that you have given financing to, you would then anticipate some delays and the money is coming back to you.
Not talking about your bank, but would you say there is some level of default in loans? People pick loans in the country and it's quite difficult for them to pay. Some of them just bolt.
There are defaults in loan everywhere. It's an occupational hazard in banking. But when the country is faced with challenges, then there is a lot of what we call settlement risk. Businesses may have promised to give you the money back today, and perhaps they will delay to a week or two as they rebalance their books. But overall, given the good fundamentals of the economy, we anticipated that there will be reversals if right decisions are made at all levels.
Now, I've been doing my research on from the State of Affairs background, and I know I followed uniBank closely, and I can tell for a fact that while people look at the major financing, yes, you do major financing to the big institutions, but you would also look at the SME sector. So around these difficult times, who would want to finance the SME sector? What kind of strategy is that?
And who else but yours truly, uniBank? As
uniBank
a
will want to
bank,
look that
we
way.
have been focused on our mission, and our chosen segment has always been the SMEs, and we have grown expertise there. And
most banks will shy away from the SMEs. So why would you want to go?
I think as a bank or any institution, you should shy away from anything that you don't have the competence in managing the risks arising therefrom.
Do you?
And yes, reasonably so, to the extent that the economy allows, we do. We have trained a lot. We understand. We are a Ghanaian bank. We understand the Ghanaian businesses, and we don't just look at the papers they present. We do in-depth decomposition analysis with them, and so far it's been paying good dividends.
Supporting the SME sector.
Yes.
Is supporting you, while others are seeing that major setback. You're saying uniBank is still doing great, supporting the SME sector.
It doesn't make the sector any less risky. It is risky, but generally, look at Ghana. If you take the multinationals out, almost all the companies are SMEs. So I just want to reiterate that we may not be the only financial institution also deeply involved with the businesses, because largely the businesses in the country are SMEs. But we do so on a more focused basis.
Let me come to an interesting area. Quite recently, I also read Star FM Online and other portals. Indeed, that online service did break the news that indeed uniBank had picked an award. Reading about it, Europe Business Assembly, that's the EBA, awarded uniBank, and it went ahead to award you. Maybe first of all, let me talk about uniBank being awarded. Tell me about it. Which area how did the bank shine amongst all the banks that were selected?
The Europe Business Assembly awarded uniBank as the enterprise, the business enterprise of the region and financial sector. And they did so on their own merits and analysis, more focused on our growth pattern. They also laid emphasis, and the citation said so, on how, despite all the downturns in economic fortunes, we have remained committed to the SME sector. And they also laid a lot of emphasis in singling us out as a business that does not only look out for profits, but also invest in terms of socially, significantly in the communities.
Are you carrying any investments, social investments, giving back to society? Or they just had to confer this on you? I'm sorry to ask. It's a straight question. What have you done?
And I say yes, and a big yes. We have provided Kolebu with an ultra-modern 2.5 million CD maternity block, second floor, ultra-modern European standards. Of course, as we all know, we're the proud sponsor of the national team, and we have sponsored them significantly. $1.2 million. We continue to do so. As we speak now, we are in league with Operation Smile, a group of international doctors who we have sponsored this year to ensure that the cleft lips, our colleagues with the deformed lips,
I've seen that
they can smile. And so far, they have had surgery on 154 patients in whole, and we're still counting. And this is just to mention a few, because if we go to the educational sector, through a PPP, we have put up a 3-floor story building for Gimpa.
Wow.
And we've also donated so many vehicles and such likes.
All right, so we can confidently say that uniBank is not only taking from society, but you're giving back to society. It brings me to the question where I wonder, so the future of uniBank, you're an indigenous bank. You intend staying an indigenous bank? You intend supporting the local sector alone? You only want to be here? Am I to believe that you're going elsewhere in the near future?
Yes, we intend to, but we're not going elsewhere, either internationally or locally, because it is good to do so. We're trying to give our customers end-to-end service, and that end-to-end service, giving the many import businesses within the SME, requires us perhaps to have a ramp office in Dubai, London, and we will happily do so. But we'll do more than that, because also locally...
I didn't get that well. You're going to have a rep office in Dubai, such that business officials who would have to go into Dubai, who would have to do businesses there, who are with you or are dealing with your bank, can easily get services there. Is that what you said?
Certainly so. We
and then
aim
in the
to
United
do that.
Kingdom
we
as well.
aim to do that.
Then you're going international.
Well, to that extent, not to the extent of wanting to be a global player, but making sure that our customer is able to weather the storm and have ease of operations and financial services.
Before I come into the banking sector, I would want you to spend probably 5 or so minutes in explaining this particular issue where you were also conferred as the CEO of the year. I mean, what were the merits they looked at?
Oh, the manager of the year. They did look at a lot of things. They looked at the great work the good team at uniBank, the board and the management have done. They looked at how we have stayed true to our vision and how our institution has been transformed, given as it were that we are also a wholly Guinean business.
So this brings a lot of pride.
Yes.
They compared you to other countries, nominees from not only Ghana or something?
No, they were global awards, and
so it's
I'm
a global
happy that
award.
for this sector they chose not only myself but uniBank.
Wow.
And it is a success. I share with the good team that I have and the board helping in setting the agenda and of course the very many committed staff that we have.
There's a man who mentioned the team as part of being part of the success. But let me look at the banking industry for a while before I move on. Now, I dare say that the conglomerates, the big banks, those with affiliates all over the world, are preparing to swallow you off. How's the future like for the indigenous banks when you look at it, especially against the backdrop of our oil and gas sector?
No, I do not believe that that is going to happen. I've been around for quite a bit. I rather think that the big players are going to run back, like some have started, because the cost of regulatory compliance in being such a...
big banks are going to move out and make way for you. The indigenous
That
banks.
can happen. That could happen. It's not going to happen overnight, but that rather could be the move. Could be the move, especially with the very, very, very big ones. Ghana is a big country, and non-bank public alone is over 50%. So long as you have good strategies, there is room, and we will continue to be. Bearing in mind, as a bank, you don't have to be everything to everyone. You've got to have your niche customer, the one you're dedicated to serving, and serving well.
FELIX NYARKO PONG, you have confidence in yourself that yes, my team, my bank, the Ghanaian banks are going to really weave through and be able to outdo some of these foreign banks that you see. Reason why you say the conglomerates, we should not worry. But let me come to another point where we're looking at the industry in general. Today, if the central bank is going to decide to license more indigenous banks, would you call it a good advice? Would you say the banking sector is choked?
The banking sector is not choked at all. There is still more work to be done. I have already alluded to the more than 50% we have to ensure some form of financial inclusion.
Over 29 banks?
Yes.
I mean, chasing the same funds?
If you go to the United States and many other countries, there are many, many more, and most exist on a regional basis, serving regional clienteles. And to the extent that banks will pick their niche customers and focus their own, I think it is positive. What regulatorily we should ensure is not to encourage everyone coming from anywhere just to establish in the capital. just to establish that the places that time and pain have already been taken in ensuring some banking culture, but in making sure that wherever comes in also have a total national spread footprint agenda to help us focus on our development. And we need to encourage locals to do so, if only to retain resources and capital. We have to focus on that.
Tonight we've done a lot of tweets ahead of the program, and it's quite interesting some responses we got. Now, when some people from Okuman got to know that you come in here, they just got in touch and said, look, Kweku, that's our man. He's a man we honored, so touch on him. Hey, what's that relation with you and the Okuman?
Well, I guess it's because I'm a Okuman.
You have a shop in Abosuokai already?
First and foremost, unfortunately, I don't have an anchor with a shop. So I ended up in a bank.
All right.
But more than that, yes, the Okoma honored me during the Easter. I wasn't alone. Right. They honored many prominent citizens. But it isn't because I'm the CEO of a bank, but more towards humanitarian things that we've done in the area, more towards how we have, or I have personally, together with the other recipients, given back to our roots. And we'll encourage all to do so. And I'm very happy that my modest contribution to Ukwa is noted and recognized.
We're very thrilled that tonight you're over here with us on State of Affairs, and we're looking at the banking industry. But just before we go, there's a man out there who enjoys watching this program, who is going to look up to us. Well, we just want you to advise that person within 30 seconds. If you want to be good at what you do, if you want to be seasoned, what advice would you give to that person?
If you want to be a good seasoned banker, I would say stay focused, stay sharp, keep your nose clean, and whatever you do, make sure you have prayers and a godly life as a prime motive.
He believes in his maker, FELIX NYARKO PONG. Many thanks for joining us on State of Affairs on GH1. We're grateful having you, and we celebrate you indeed, the Manager of the Year, and also celebrate uniBank for picking that award. Well, just shortly, you need to be updated, so we're giving you that quick facts.